and so resettle in. You can feel your body beginning to grow heavy in the most pleasant way. In our time together tonight, there is nothing to examine, nothing to understand, only the gentle rhythm of a story. A story of a perfectly arranged garden, where every stone and every branch has its place, and where the slightest disturbance is noticed immediately. The story of a life lived within walls of paper and silk. A life that is about to be shattered by a single, whispered word. Before we drift too far, if you feel a connection to this place, you're welcome to leave a quiet like or subscribe. Think of it not as a task, but as leaving a soft footprint in the sand before you continue your journey inward. Your peaceful presence here is, and always will be, more than enough. And if you feel so inclined, you can leave a comment with your city and the time on your clock. It's a quiet way for us to feel connected, all listening together in different corners of the night. Alright. Let the shadows in your room grow long and soft. Maybe you can hear the faint sound of your own breathing. And as the air cools, you imagine the scent of night minus blooming flowers. Together, let's allow the story to begin. The first thing you notice every morning is the scent. It's the sweet, almost intoxicating perfume of the gardenias that bloom just outside your paper minus screen window. It is the scent of your world, a world of quiet, orderly beauty. Your home is not a castle, not a fortress, but a respectable residence made of dark wood and pale paper, surrounded by a meticulously kept garden. From your room, you can see the raked white gravel of the Zen garden, its patterns swirled into coming waves by a gardener you never see. You suspect even the pebbles are afraid to be out of place. Your life is like that gravel. Every day is raked into a perfect, predictable pattern. You wake. You slide open the screens. You kneel on the tatami mat. Its woven grass cool against your skin. You practice your calligraphy, your brush making silent, deliberate strokes on the rice paper. You learn the art of flower arrangement, ikebana, finding the silent, perfect balance between a single camellia stem and the empty space around it. You are taught the tea ceremony, a meditation in movement where every gesture is prescribed, every pause is timed. These are not hobbies. They are your education. They are the skills that will define your value. It's a bit like building a resume for a position you never applied for. The position of a respectable samurai's wife. Your father is a man of some importance. Not a great lord, but a man who values honor and reputation above all else. You feel his presence in the house, even when he is away. It is in the profound silence of the corridors, the way the maids glide by with downcast eyes, the flawless polish and the dark wooden floors. These floors, by the way, are special. They are called Ukiyo asabari, or nightingale floors. The floorboards are laid in such a way that they rub against metal clamps underneath when anyone walks on them, creating a delicate, bird-like chirp with every single step. It's presented as an elegant security feature, a way to prevent assassins from sneaking in at night. But you know what it really is. It's a cage that announces its own captives' every move. You cannot walk from your room to the veranda without the house singing a little song about your journey. This is the world of the IE, the household system that governs everything. You are not an individual. Not really. You are a daughter of your father's house. And soon you will be a wife to another house. A human bridge connecting to families, strengthening alliances, and ensuring continuity. Your personal happiness is a pleasant, but ultimately non-minus essential byproduct of this function. Historians still gently argue about this, about the inner lives of women like you. Were you content in this gilded cage? Did you find a deep, spiritual peace in the rituals, a sense of purpose in your defined role, or was there a quiet, simmering rebellion beneath the layers of silk? The truth, you suppose, is that it was probably all of those things at once, depending on the day, depending on the hour. Today, however, a new feeling is taking root. It's a feeling that doesn't fit into the raked patterns of the gravel. It's a restlessness, a yearning for something beyond the scent of gardenias and the chirping of the floors. You said, perfectly still. watching the setting sun paint the paper screens in shades of orange and rose. The house is quiet. The maids are preparing the evening meal. Your father is in his study, likely reviewing ledgers or practicing his own swordsmanship. Everything is as it should be. Everything is in its place, except for the small, almost imperceptible flutter in your own chest, a feeling as faint as the wings of a butterfly trapped in a jar. You look out at the perfect garden, and for the first time, you don't see beauty. You see the wall that surrounds it. The next few days pass in exactly the same way. The gardenias release their scent. The flowers chirp their familiar song, and the sun traces its predictable path across the sky. But for you, the world feels different. That wall around the garden now seems to pulse with a strange energy, as if it's aware of your gaze. The silence in the house is no longer peaceful. It's heavy, filled with the unspoken words of your own restlessness. You perform your duties, the calligraphy, the tea ceremony, with the same outward grace. But your mind is elsewhere. It's a strange feeling, to be a perfect daughter on the outside while a quiet rebellion is taking seed within. The change comes, as it so often does, not with a crash of thunder but with a whisper. It happens during the midday meal. A young maid, Hunter, kneels to place a small porcelain bowl of pickles beside your rice. Her movements are usually seamless, almost invisible. But today, her hand trembles, just for a second. Her eyes, normally fixed on the floor, dart up to meet yours for a fraction of a moment. It's a look of fear and complicity as she places the bowl down. You feel something press against your palm, tucked beneath your sleeve. It's a piece of paper, folded into a small, tight square. Your heart gives a single, powerful thud that feels loud enough to shake the room. Hunter rises and glides away. Her footsteps a nervous flutter on the nightingale floors. You sit perfectly still, your hand concealing the note. The warmth of it seems to burn through your silk sleeve. You continue your meal, lifting the chopsticks, bringing the rice to your lips, performing a perfect imitation of a daughter at her lunch. Your father is not present, but you feel his phantom gaze on you. Every slow, deliberate chew is an act of defiance. The world has just tilted on its axis, but the serene surface of your life remains unbroken. Later, in the privacy of your room, you finally allow yourself to look at it. The paper isn't the fine, expensive kind you use for your calligraphy practice. It's rougher, nor common, but the way it's folded is anything but. It has been tied into an intricate knot, a style of message known as a MUSUBI-FUMI. This wasn't just a note. It was a puzzle, a poem in paper. Historians still debate the true purpose of female literacy in your era. Was it to write beautiful poetry and manage household accounts? To be a cultured ornament for a husband's home? Or was it for this? A secret language, a hidden world of communication that operated in the shadows of official society. The note itself was part of the message, a silent signal of intimacy and intent. Your fingers, trained in the delicate arts, tremble slightly as you work to undo the knot without tearing the paper. Inside, the calligraphy is not the refined, almost printed style of a master. It is strong, a little rushed, full of a life that feels utterly alien to your own measured world. The message is short. It speaks of the full moon, of the wisteria that blooms over the temple wall, and of a wish to see the face that has only been glimpsed in a passing procession. It is signed with a name you do not recognize, but a name that now feels like a stone dropped into the still pond of your existence. There is no direct question, no improper proposal, but the invitation is as clear as the ink on the paper. This is forbidden. This is dangerous. The maid, Hannah, risked a severe beating, or worse, just to deliver it. If your father were to find this, your world would not just tilt, it would crumble into dust. The punishment for such indiscretion is not something that is ever spoken of, but it hangs in the air, a silent threat that has shaped your entire life. You are the vessel of your family's honor, A single crack could shatter everything. You should burn it. You should tear it into 1,000 tiny pieces and cast them into the wind. That is what a good daughter would do. That is what the girl you were yesterday would have done. But you don't. You refold the note. Not into its original knot, but into a simple square. You hide it in the hidden compartment of a lacquer box, a place where you keep your childhood trinkets. The note feels like a sleeping coal, radiating a dangerous, thrilling heat. For the first time, you have a secret that is truly your own. And as you slide your paper screen shut against the coming night, the scent of the gardenias outside feels less like a comfort and more like a cage. The question is no longer if you will reply, but how. The how turns out to be both simpler and more terrifying than you imagine. It relies entirely on Hannah. The next morning, as she clears away your breakfast tray, you press your unfolded reply into her hand. Your note is a whisper on paper. A single, carefully composed poem about the moon waiting for a cloud to pass. It is an answer, a confirmation, and a plea all in one. You don't look at her as you do it, but you feel the tremor in her fingers as she conceals the paper in her sleeve. For the rest of the day, a cord of shared terror and complicity connects you. Her every footstep on the chirping floors is a reminder of the risk you've both taken. You are no longer just a mistress and a maid. You are co-minus conspirators. A week passes. A week of agonizing silence. You begin to think you were foolish, that he was toying with you, or that Hannah was caught and disposed of so quietly you would never even know. But then, another note arrives, tucked into the fold of a freshly laundered kimono. This one is more direct. A time, a place, a small, little Midas-used shrine on the edge of the temple grounds, shielded by a curtain of weeping willow. The excuse is one your father cannot refuse. You wish to pray for the health of an ailing aunt. It's a perfect, respectable reason to leave the house. Chaperoned, of course, by the ever-Midas present Hannah. Walking through the streets is a disorienting experience. The sounds, the smells, of street vendors selling grilled fish, of dust, of horses, are a sensory assault after the curated quiet of your home. You keep your head down, your face shielded by a wide Midas-brimmed hat. But you feel the eyes of the world on you. Hannah walks a few paces behind, a silent guardian of your terrible, wonderful secret. At the shrine, you send Hannah to buy protective charms from the main temple, a task that will take her some time, and then you are alone. The air is thick with the scent of incense and damp earth. You wait behind the screen of willow branches, your heart a frantic drum against your ribs, and then he is there. He is younger than you imagined, not a grand samurai, but perhaps the son of a wealthy merchant, or a lower-ranked warrior. His clothes are simple, but of good quality. What strikes you most are his eyes. They are not downcast or veiled. They look directly at you, and for the first time in your life, you feel seen not as a daughter or a future wife, but as yourself. Your meetings become a desperate, cherished ritual, a stolen conversation here, a shared glance there. You learn the art of deception, becoming a master of plausible excuses and feigned illnesses. The thrill of it is a heady poison, making your old life feel faded and grey. But with the thrill comes a constant, gnawing terror. The nightingale floors of your home are no longer a quaint architectural feature. They are your enemy. Every midnight trip for a sip of water is a symphony of betrayal. You learn to walk on the very edges of the hallway, where the boards are nailed down tighter and are less likely to sing. You communicate in a silent, secret language. You both carry phones. This is perfectly normal, an essential accessory for any person of standing. But your fans speak. A fully opened fan, held over the heart, means you have my love. Tapping the closed fan on your left palm means I wish to speak with you. Drawing it across your cheek means I am watching you. It is a language of gestures, understood only by the two of you. A complete conversation happening in plain sight while Hannah pretends to examine silks in a nearby shop. Historians sometimes wonder about the extent to which these coded gestures were formalized, asking if there was a universally understood language of the fan, or if it was, as is more likely, a series of personal, intimate codes developed by lovers and conspirators, a unique dialect of desire for every secret couple. In these stolen moments, you feel a sense of agency you've never known. You are not just a piece in your father's game. You are a player in your own. But the game is impossibly dangerous. The law is absolute. For a woman of your class, your body is not your own. It belongs to your family line. To engage in a relationship without your father's consent, to even suggest such a thing, is not merely a social misstep. It is a crime against the social order. A stain upon your family's honor that must be violently scrubbed away. One evening, after returning from a visit to the market, you catch a glimpse of your own reflection in the polished surface of a lacquer box. The face that looks back at you is flushed with a life and a fear you don't recognize. The perfect, passive daughter is gone. In her place is a stranger, a gambler who has wagered her entire world on a folded note into conversation carried on the flutter of a fan. And in the deep, echoing silence of your room, you hear the distant, deliberate footsteps of your father walking down the hall. Each step a soft, melodic chirp that sounds like a bird counting down your final moments of freedom. The footsteps pass your door without stopping. You release a breath you didn't even realize you were holding, your body slumping with relief. The constant tension is becoming a part of you, a wire pulled taut just beneath your skin. You are living two lives. One is the serene, predictable existence of the daughter practicing her arts within the paper walls. The other is a frantic, secret life of whispered plans and coded glances, a life lived in the margins and shadows. The strain of keeping them separate is beginning to wear you down. The breaking point arrives on a cool autumn evening. The air carries the faint, melancholic scent of burning leaves. Your father summons you to his study, a room you rarely enter. It is the heart of his power, smelling of old books, ink, and the faint, metallic scent of the polished swords that hang on the wall. You kneel on the tatami mat before him, your head bowed, your silk kimono pooling around you like a silent, colorful sigh. He doesn't speak for a long time. He is practicing calligraphy, his brush moving with a slow, almost hypnotic grace. The only sound is the rustle of his silk sleeves and the soft hiss of the brush on the paper. Finally, he sets the brush down. He says Lord Kawe made an inquiry today. His voice calm, measured, revealing nothing. He says his son, Masahiro, is of age, that he is a good man, from a strong family, and it would be a most advantageous match. Your blood runs cold. An advantageous match. He speaks of your future, your entire life, as if it were a move in a game of Go, a strategic placement of a stone on a board. Masahiro, you have seen him once or twice at a festival. He is older, stern, a man who looks as if he has never smiled. The thought of being his wife, of entering his household, is like the thought of being lowered into a cold, dark well. The union would bring great stability to our family. Your father continues, still not looking at you. He is cleaning his brush now. His movements precise and methodical. Lord Kawe's influence at court is growing. Our alliance would ensure our prosperity for a generation. He speaks of prosperity, of alliances, of generations. He does not speak of you. You are the currency in this transaction. The beautiful, well-manuscripted seal that will finalize the deal. This is the moment every daughter of your class is raised for. You are supposed to lower your head, to murmur your grateful, humble acceptance. To do otherwise is unthinkable. It is a rebellion not just against your father, but against the entire world. But the name that fills your mind is not Masahiro. It is the name from the folded notes. The name of the young man with the direct gaze who waits for you by the willow tree. Father, you begin. Your voice is thin, really thin. I am unworthy of such a great honor. It is the standard, prescribed response. but you cannot bring yourself to say the words that should follow. You cannot voice your acceptance. Your silence hangs in the room, heavy and suffocating. Your father finally looks up. His gaze is sharp, analytical. He is not looking at you with a father's affection, but with the shrewd eye of a strategist who has just seen a piece on the board refuse to move. He repeats the word unworthy, his voice losing its neutral tone, replaced now by a faint edge of steel. You are my daughter. Your worth is a reflection of this house. You will be worthy. It is a command, not a reassurance. A strange, cold fact about your world is that the concept of romantic love as a basis for marriage is almost entirely alien. Marriages are contracts. Some historians argue that this is precisely why the world of courtesans and pleasure districts flourish. It was the only socially sanctioned outlet for romance and passion, completely separate from the duties of family and procreation. Your secret affair is not just a betrayal of your father. It is a rejection of the fundamental principles upon which your society is built. The idea that your personal feelings should have any bearing on this arrangement is, to him, not just foolish but dangerously insane. You lower your head, the smooth silk of your kimono feeling like a lead weight. You cannot refuse him, not directly. To do so would be an act of open defiance that would bring ruin upon you instantly. So you do the only thing you can. You remain silent. You don't agree. You don't disagree. You simply kneel, a silent, unmoving statue of filial piety, while inside, a storm of panic and rebellion is raging. Your father sees this. He sees the tiny, almost invisible tremor in your shoulders. He misinterprets it as made in my fear of a young girl intimidated by the prospect of marriage. He does not see it for what it is, the silent scream of a prisoner who has just heard the key turn in the final lock. He dismisses you with a wave of his hand, and as you back out of the room, you feel his gaze on you, no longer just watchful, but suspicious. The perfect daughter has developed a flaw, and he is a man who does not tolerate flaws. In the days that follow your silent protest, the atmosphere in the house changes. It's not a loud, dramatic shift, but a subtle chilling of the air, like a window being opened to a winter sky in a previously warm room. Your father says nothing more about the marriage, but you feel his gaze everywhere. It is in the way the head-maid now asks for a precise accounting of your time. It is in the new rule that your calligraphy practice must be done with your door screen slid open, in full view of the corridor. It is in the sudden, unexplained dismissal of a young kitchen boy who was caught smiling at you once. The house, which was once a structured sanctuary, now feels like a cage whose bars are slowly, silently contracting around you. The freedom you had, limited as it was, is gone. Your requests to visit the temple to pray are now met with a calm, unshakable refusal. Your aunt's health has improved, your father says, his eyes never leaving the document he is reading. Your prayers are no longer needed. Your trips to the market with Hannah are cancelled. A merchant now comes to the house, displaying bolts of silk for you to choose from under the watchful eye of your mother. The nightingale flaws no longer just sing of your movement. They report them directly to a warden you cannot see. One afternoon, while you are mending a tear in a silk robe, you notice it. A tiny, circular spot on the paper of your shoddy screen, no bigger than your fingertip. It is slightly translucent, still faintly damp. You touch it, and the paper is soft. Weakened. You understand instantly. Someone had wet the tip of their finger, pressed it against the paper screen, and created a tiny, temporary peephole to watch you from the hallway. A quiet, domestic form of espionage. The hole is already healing itself as the paper dries, the fibers tightening, leaving only the faintest watermark as evidence. The intrusion is so intimate, so violating, it makes your skin crawl. You have no privacy, not even in your own room. This is the reality of your father's authority. In the legal and social structure of your time, a father's power over his household, his Koshio Kaien, is nearly absolute. He is not just the head of the family, he is its unquestioned ruler. His children, especially his daughters, are his property until they become the property of another man. His word is law. His decisions are final, and his honor is paramount. This is not just a matter of a strict parent. It is the fundamental framework of society. To challenge him is to challenge the natural order of the universe. And what of your mother? She is a ghost in this unfolding drama. She watches everything. Her face is serene, unreadable mess. Does she approve of this tightening grip? Is she your father's silent partner in this surveillance? Or is she a fellow prisoner? One who learned long ago that survival depends on silent, unwavering compliance. Historians still debate the role of wives and mothers within these powerful households. Were they enforcers of the patriarchal system? Or did they operate a subtle, underground network of support and resistance for their daughters? You look at your mother's face as she inspects a piece of silk, her expression placid and distant, and you find no answers. You are utterly, terrifyingly alone. The pressure is becoming unbearable. You have no way of contacting the young man. You can't send Hannah. You can't leave the house. You imagined him waiting by the willow tree, day after day, thinking you have abandoned him. The thought is a physical pain, sharper than the needle you are holding. The arranged marriage to Masahiro looms, a future of cold, dutiful silence. You realize you have a choice to make. You can submit, allowing the last flicker of your own life to be extinguished, becoming the perfect, hollow daughter your father requires, or you can take one last, desperate risk. That night, under the silver of a new moon, you light a single candle. You take out your finest paper and ring stone. Your hands, which have been trained for years to produce elegant, controlled calligraphy, are shaking so badly that the first few characters are a mess of black smudges. You take a deep breath, close your eyes, and try to channel all your fear, all your desperation, all your longing into the tip of that brush. You will write one more note. You do not know how you will send it. You do not know if it will even reach him, but you know you have to try. It is the only thing left that is truly yours to do. The note feels like a burning coal in your sleeve. The house is still draped in the deep blue shadows of pre-dawn, and every creak of a floorboard is magnified in the silence. You know Hannah's routine. She rises before anyone, to light the kitchen fires and make offerings at the komidana, the small household shrine in the main hall. It is a moment of quiet ritual, a sacred space, and you are about to defile it with your desperate, profane secret. You step out of your room, your bare feet finding the silent edges of the corridor. The nightingale frogs are mostly quiet, but a few still let out a sleepy, mournful chirp, and each sound sends a jolt of ice through your veins. You find Hannah kneeling before the small wooden shrine, her back to you. She has just placed a tiny bowl of fresh white rice on the altar. Her posture is one of perfect reverence. For a moment, you almost turn back. To involve the sacred space in your deception feels like a terrible omen. But the image of Masahiro's cold face, of a lifetime spent in a silent will, propels you forward. You kneel beside her, pretending to pray. As you bow your head, you press the folded note into her hand. She flinches as if burned, but her fingers close around it, her movements swift and practiced. She hides it in an instant. Neither of you speaks a word. A silent contract has been fulfilled. She rises and glides away, leaving you alone in the dim light, the scent of incense and your own betrayal thick in the air. The day unfolds with a strange, surreal calm. You feel hollowed out, a spectator in your own life. You are summoned to your room for a lesson in Ikebana. Your instructor, a stern elderly woman, has brought a branch of white camellias. She speaks of balance, of the beauty of empty space, of how a single flower can represent the entire universe. You listen, you nod. You select a stem. Your hands are surprisingly steady as you trim a leaf. As you place the branch in the heavy ceramic vase, you have done the last thing you could do. The outcome is no longer in your hands. There is a strange peace in that surrender, as you are making the final adjustment to a single, perfect blossom. You hear the flowers sing. It is your father's walk, deliberate, unhurried. He slides open your screen door and steps into the room. Your instructor immediately prostrates herself, her forehead touching the tatami mat. Your father dismisses her with a quiet word, and then you are alone with him. He does not look at the flower arrangement. He does not look at you. He walks to your calligraphy desk. On it are the practice sheets from the night before. The ones you had discarded. The ones marred by your trembling hands and smudged ink. You had forgotten to burn them. A rookie mistake for a spy. He picks one up. Your hand is unsteady, he says, his voice flat. It is not a question. It is a statement of fact. He holds the paper up to the light, examining the clumsy characters. This is not the work of a calm mind. You stare at the fallen camellia blossom you just trimmed, which lies on the mat beside the vase. In the culture of the samurai, the camellia is a complicated symbol. Unlike other flowers that lose their petals one by one, the camellia drops its entire head at once. A claim, sugnen. It is sometimes seen as a symbol of a noble death. Right now, it feels like an execution. The mind is a garden. Your father continues, his voice still and of ingram calm. If you allow weeds to grow, they will choke the life from everything. They must be pulled out by the root. He finally turns his gaze to you. There is no anger in his eyes. There is no rage, no fire. There is something far more terrifying. A deep, profound, and icy disappointment. It is the look a master artisan gives a flawless piece of porcelain that has just revealed a fatal, hidden crack. He knows. You don't know how he knows. Did he catch Hannah? Did he find the note? Or did he simply put the pieces together? Your silence about the marriage, your nervousness, the sudden clumsiness of your brushstroke. Historians still argue about the line between paternal authority and formal legal procedure in cases like this. Was your father the accuser? Or was he already the judge and jury? Did he need proof? A confiscated letter? A forced confession? Or was his suspicion, backed by his absolute power, enough to constitute a verdict? He drops the ruined practice sheet onto your desk. It lands with a soft, final whisper. He has not raised his voice. He has not accused you directly. He has done something far worse. He has diagnosed you, like a disease in his own house. And now, he will begin the cure. He turns and leaves the room, his footsteps chirping a steady, rhythmic dirge as he walks away. The silence he leaves behind is absolute. You look from the ruined calligraphy to the fallen flower on the floor. Your world has not ended with a scream. It has ended with a whisper and the soft thud of a severed blossom hitting the mat. The silence that follows your father's departure is a living thing. It presses in on you, heavier than any blanket, more suffocating than smoke. There is no confrontation, no weeping, no angry words. The house simply stops. The maids no longer glide. They creep, their eyes fixed on the floor, refusing to meet yours. Meals are served to you in your room. A silent tray placed just inside your screen by a faceless servant who vanishes before you can even see her. You are being isolated, cut off from the household's lifeblood, like a diseased limb being prepared for amputation. You search for Hannah, but she is gone. You ask another maid where she is, and the girl just shakes her head, her face pale with a fear so profound it seems to have stolen her voice. You understand. Hannah has been dealt with, quietly, efficiently. She has been erased from the household's memory. The thought of what might have happened to her, a beating, dismissal into poverty, or worse, is a cold, hard knot in your stomach. Your rebellion has not only doomed you, it has claimed its first, silent victim. Your father avoids you entirely. You catch a glimpse of him once, walking through the garden. He is inspecting a bonsai tree, his focus absolute as he snips a tiny, errant branch with a pair of silver shears. He doesn't look up, doesn't acknowledge your presence at the window. You are the errant branch he is about to prune from the family tree, and he will do it with the same cold, dispassionate precision. This is the core of it all. Oh no, to a modern mind, It might seem like an abstract concept, but in your world, it is as real and as tangible as the sword on your father's wall. A family's honor is its most valuable asset, the currency of its social standing. It is built over generations, a fragile edifice of reputation, duty, and public perception, and a daughter's virtue is one of its primary pillars. Your transgression is not a personal mistake. It is a structural attack on the entire house. It is a public stain, a source of profound shame that dishonors not just you, but your father, your ancestors, and your descendants. The punishment, therefore, cannot be a simple, private affair. It cannot be a scolding or a confinement. The shame is public, so the cleansing must be public as well. Your father's reaction is not driven by a lack of love, though you certainly feel none from him now, but by a desperate, surgical need to cauterize a wound. He is not just punishing his daughter, he is saving his house. Historians have long debated the emotional reality behind the stoic facade of the samurai class. Did fathers like yours feel grief and pain? Or was their identity so completely tied to their social role that a daughter's dishonor was felt only as a strategic failure, a blemish on their legacy? The answer is likely unknowable, lost behind the rigid masks of duty and control. One evening, your mother comes to your room. It is the first time you have seen her up close in days. She carries a wooden box. She kneels and opens it without a word. Inside is a simple, plain white kimono. It is the color of mourning, the color of ritual purification, the color of death. She begins to undress you, her movements methodical and impersonal, like she's preparing a door. She removes your beautiful, patterned silk robes, folding them with practiced care. She replaces them with the stark, shapeless white garment. It is a curious and sad detail of the era that the fabrics women wore were often more valuable than the women themselves. A single ornate kimono could be worth more than a small farm. Your collection of robes was a part of your dowry, an investment, a symbol of your family's wealth. As your mother takes them away, she is not just changing your clothes. She is liquidating your assets. She is stripping you of your value. When you are dressed in the plain white robe, she finally speaks. Her voice is a dry whisper, like rustling leaf. The magistrate will see you in the morning, she says. She does not look at you. She looks at a spot on the wall just past your shoulder. Your father has made his decision. There is no pity in her voice, no solace. There is only a profound, weary resignation. She has seen this world for what it is, and she knows there is no escape. She rises and leaves, sliding the screen shut behind her, plunging the room, and your future, into darkness. You are left alone, dressed in the color of surrender, to await a dawn that will bring not a new day, but a final judgment. You do not sleep. How could you? The white kimono feels coarse against your skin, a constant, abrasive reminder of your new status. Use it in the dark, perfectly still, and listen to the sounds of the house breathing around you. The familiar chirps of the nightingale floors now sound like the cries of lost birds. Every rustle of a tree in the garden, every distant bark of a door, is a sound from a world you are no longer a part of. You are a ghost, waiting for the dawn to banish you. When the first pale light of morning filters through the paper screens, the door slides open. It is not a maid. It is two men, household retainers you recognize, but have never spoken to. They are dressed simply, their faces grim and impassive. They do not speak. They simply gesture for you to rise and follow them. There are no chains, no ropes. There is no need. Your father's will is a stronger bond than any iron could be. You follow them out of your room, your bare feet padding softly on the floors that have chronicled your entire life. The house is eerily silent. The servants are all hidden away, ordered not to witness this final, shameful procession. You walk through the polished corridors, past the empty rooms, through the perfectly raked garden. You see the stone mountain where you once played as a child, the carp pond whose fish knew the shape of your shadow. It is a walk through your own museum, a final tour of a life that has already ended. At the main gate, a simple, unadorned palanquin is waiting. It's not the ornate kind used for noble women, but a plain wooden box, more like a cage than a carriage. They motion for you to get inside. The space is small, cramped, and smells of raw, unlacquered wood. The blinds are drawn, allowing only thin slivers of light to enter. You are being transported like shameful cargo, hidden from the public eye. As the palanquin is lifted, the world dissolves into a series of jolting movements and muffled sounds. You hear the crunch of gravel under the men's feet, the distant murmur of the city waking up. The journey is not long, but it feels like an eternity. You are suspended in a state of limbo, trapped between the world you have lost and the fate you cannot yet imagine. You are not being taken to a dungeon. You are not being taken to a place of execution. You are being taken to the local makibagyo, the office of the city magistrate. This is a crucial distinction. Your father is not taking the law into his own hands, which in some cases he had the right to do. An angry father or husband discovering a couple in the act could, in some interpretations of the law, dispatch them both on the spot without legal repercussion. But that would be a messy, passionate. Your father is a man of order and control. He is not acting out of rage. He is following a procedure. He is using the law of the state to formalize the cleansing of his house. This makes it all the more chilling. This is not a crime of passion. It is a cold, calculated act of legal and social purification. Historians often point out the dual nature of law in your era. There was the official, written law of the shogunate, and then there was the unwritten, customary law that governed family and social honor. Your father is now bridging the two. He is taking a private family shame and turning it into a public legal matter, ensuring that the state itself ratifies his decision. Your punishment will not just be his will, it will be the will of the government, inscribed in official documents. The palanquin comes to a sudden stop. The door is opened, and the bright morning light is a physical blow. You are hustled out and into a stark, functional building. The air here smells different, of old paper, damp, and a faint, unmistakable scent of human sweat and fear. The floors here do not sing. They are plain, solid wood, worn smooth by the passage of countless petitioners, criminals, and victims. You are laid down a corridor and told to wait in a small, empty room with barred windows. You sit on a hard wooden bench and stare at the wall. The time for fear is over. The time for hoping is over. All that is left is the waiting. You wait for the law to give your new life a name. The waiting ends not with a shout, but with the quiet scraping of a bolt. I guard gestures for you to follow. You walk down another plain corridor. Your white kimonos start beacon in the gloom. You are led into a larger room. The air here is thick with the scent of old ink, drying paper, and the slow, patient decay of official records. It is a room built for procedure, not for passion. The magistrate sits on a raised platform at the far end of the room. He is an older man, his face a web of fine lines, his expression one of weary neutrality. He has seen 1,000 stories like yours, and will see 1,000 more. He is not a monster of rage. He is a bureaucrat of justice, an administrator of consequences. Below him, scribes kneel at low desks, their brushes poised, ready to turn your life into a footnote in the city's ledger. And on the floor before the platform, kneeling in perfect, formal posture, is your father. He does not look at you as you are brought in unmade to kneel a respectful distance away from him. He looks at the magistrate. He is not your father anymore. In this room, he is the plaintiff, the head of a dishonored house formally petitioning the state for a remedy. The magistrate clears his throat. His voice is a dry rustle of paper. He begins by stating your father's name, his house, and the nature of the complaint. He speaks of filial duty, of a daughter's sacred obligation to preserve the family's honor. He speaks of licentious conduct, of improper associations, of a stain upon a good name. The words are formal, legalistic, and utterly devastating. They strip your secret moments of all their warmth and life, reducing your connection with the young man to a sordid, criminal transaction. Then, the magistrate looks at you. It is the first time he has acknowledged your presence. He asks if you confess to the charge of Fuji, using the formal term for misconduct, bringing shame and disorder to the house of your father. It is not a real question. The system has a strange, almost obsessive need for a confession. It is the final piece of the puzzle, the signature that validates the entire process. But your guilt is already presumed. Your presence here, brought by your own father, is the only evidence required. Historians still puzzle over this aspect of Tokugawa-era justice. This deep seated need for the accused to participate in their own condemnation, even when the outcome is certain. It wasn't about finding the truth, it was about completing the paperwork. You say nothing. You simply bow your head lower, a gesture of submission that is taken as a full confession. The scribe's brush next to you begins to move, its soft scratching the only sound in the room. Your assent has been recorded. The magistrate picks up a scroll from the desk beside him. He unrolls it slowly. In accordance with the law, he begins, his voice the same disinterested monotone. And in response to the petition of a wronged father, the court renders its judgment. He reads the verdict. His voice is stripped of all feeling, as if he were reading an inventory of goods. The crime, improper conduct. The result, irreparable damage to the honor of a samurai house. The sentence. The sentence is a piece of breathtaking, logical cruelty. You are not to be executed. That would be a release. You are not to be imprisoned. That would be too simple. You are to be sentenced to a term of service. Service in one of the government-licensed pleasure districts. You are to be handed over to the master of a brothel. Your earnings to be used to repay the damage you have caused. It is a punishment designed for ultimate degradation. A perverse, karmic logic that declares that if you dare to explore your own desires like a woman of the floating world, then you shall be forced to become one. You will be made to serve the desires of countless other men, your body becoming a public commodity to pay for a private transgression. It is a known, though not exceedingly common, punishment. Historians still search through court records and legal documents, trying to understand how often this sentence was actually carried out. Was your fate a frequent tragedy, a standard tool for maintaining social order, or was it a rare and brutal example, reserved for families of a certain standing? To make a terrible, public point, in this room, for you, the academic debate is irrelevant. The ink is drying on the scroll. The magistrate finishes reading. He rolls up the scroll. A clerk approaches him with a box of reed ink paste and an official seal. The sound of the seal being pressed onto the document is a dull, final thud. It is the sound of a door being locked forever. It is the sound of a clod of earth hitting a coffin lid. Your father bows deeply to the magistrate, his dirty dumb. He has successfully excised the disease from his house. He stands, turns, and walks out of the room without a single glance in your direction. You are no longer his to worry about. You are now, officially, the property of the state. The finality of your father's exit leaves a vacuum in the room. You are left kneeling on the hard wooden floor, a new and terrible silence descending. The guards who brought you in now approach you again. Their movements are no longer hesitant. They are brisk, professional. You are no longer the daughter of a samurai house to be handled with a degree of deference. You are a sentenced criminal, a piece of state property to be processed. One of them nudges your shoulder, a gesture for you to stand. You are led out of the magistrate's chamber and into a different, smaller office. This one is cluttered with stacks of paper, scrolls, and dabakuses. A clerk with ink-stained fingers and a perpetually harried expression sits behind a low desk. He doesn't look up as you enter. He is focused on the scroll that holds your verdict, which has been delivered to him by a runner. He begins to prepare a new document. The process is shockingly bureaucratic, a mundane series of administrative steps to formalize your complete social annihilation. He asks you your name. You whisper it. He shakes his head, dips his brush in ink, and draws a thick black line through your family name on a new sheet of paper. That name no longer belongs to you, he says, his voice devoid of any malice. He is simply stating a fact, as if telling you the current price of rice. This is the next step in the process, the legal and spiritual erasure of your identity. You are being officially removed from your kazetski, your family register. This document is the bedrock of your existence. It connects you to your ancestors, defines your social standing, and grants your legal identity. To be removed from it is to become an ominous person, a ghost in the official records. You are now, in the eyes of the law, an unminded person, a floating entity with no lineage and no past. You belong to no one. Brothel. You belong to everyone and anyone who can pay the price. The clerk asks for your age and place of birth, recording them on the new document. It will be your transfer paper, a deed of ownership for a human being. A strange and chilling detail of this process is its similarity to the paperwork for livestock or property. The language used is often one of assets and transfers, not of human lives. Historians examining these documents are often struck by the cold, transcational nature of the language. It's a chilling reminder of how a system can be designed to dehumanize people, turning them into items on a ledger to make their exploitation more palatable. While the clerk is writing, a guard enters with a small, rough-made spun bag. He places it on the floor in front of you. Inside, there is a simple cotton kimono, the kind a common peasant might wear, and a pair of straw sandals. You are to change out of the white kimono of judgment. Your final link to the world of silken ceremony is to be severed. You are given a moment of privacy behind a folding screen, and your fingers fumble with the knots of your robe. The plain cotton feels strange against your skin, thin and unsubstantial. It is the clothing of someone who works, someone who sweats, someone who is exposed to the elements. It is the uniform of your new life. When you step out from behind the screen, the clerk has finished. He blows on the ink to dry it, rolls up the document, and ties it with a piece of string. He hands it not to you, but to the guard. You are the subject of the document, but you have no right to possess it. It is your bill of sale. You are led out of the building and into a bright, noisy courtyard you didn't see when you arrived. The world feels alien, overwhelmingly loud after the crushing silences of the last few days. Merchants are shouting. Carts are rumbling. Children are laughing. It's a world that is going on, completely indifferent to the fact that yours has just ended. Another Palak noon is waiting for you. This one is even smaller and rougher than the first. You are put inside. The door is bolted. And once again, you are plunged into darkness. You have been tried, sentenced, and stripped of your name. The abstract judgment is complete. Now begins the physical reality of the punishment. The Palak noon lurches forward, carrying you toward a part of the city you have only heard of in hushed, fearful whispers. A place with a name that means the floating world. The journey in the dark. Cramped box is a sensory deprivation chamber that amplifies every jolt and sound from the outside world. You can hear the city shift around you. The respectable, measured sounds of the samurai district. The clip-minus club of horses on stone. The polite murmur of conversation slowly give way to a more chaotic symphony. The sounds become louder, more vibrant, the rhythmic clang of a blacksmith's hammer. The boisterous laughter from what sounds like a tavern. The high-pitched calls of street performers. The very air that seeps through the cracks in the wooden walls begins to change. It loses the clean scent of manicured gardens and incense and takes on a richer, earthy aroma of cooking food, cheap perfume, and the press of too many people living too close together. You are moving downward, not just in altitude, but in social strata. The city is a living organism, and you are being passed from its refined head down into its churning, colorful gut. The Palak noon takes a sharp turn, and the ride becomes rougher, less smooth. while maintained roads of the upper city have been replaced by uneven, packed earth streets. At one point, the palanquin stops. You hear the guards exchanging words with someone. The voices are gruff, official. Then, a new sound. The creak of a heavy wooden gate being opened. You are passing through a checkpoint, a formal barrier. Your journey is taking you across a border, not into a new city, but into a city within the city. A world minus off-world with its own rules, its own culture, and its own economy. This is the licensed pleasure quarter, known to some by the poetic name Ukiyo. The floating world. It is a space both condemned and officially sanctioned by the government. The authorities, in a stroke of pragmatic genius, realized they could not stamp out human desire, so instead, they decided to regulate it, contain it, and tax it. They created these walled districts, often on the undesirable marshy outskirts of the city, and concentrated all the brothels, tea houses, and theaters within them. It was a way of quarantining vice, keeping it away from the respectable parts of the city while simultaneously profiting from it. Historians still debate the true nature of these districts. Were they zones of female exploitation? Or were they also rare spaces where women could achieve a degree of economic power and artistic influence, albeit at a terrible cost? The truth, as always, is a murky, uncomfortable blend of both. Your palanquin begins to move again, and now the sounds are completely different. There is music. The high, throbbing notes of the shamisen, a 3- stringed lute, just through the air, interwoven with the sound of laughter and the clinking of slate cups. The sounds are not joyful, they have a frantic, almost desperate energy to them. This is a world dedicated to forgetting the rigid duties of the samurai, the hard labor of the farmer, the endless calculations of the merchant. For a few hours, for a handful of coins, a man could buy the illusion of freedom, beauty, and passion. You are now being transported over a bridge. You know this because the rhythm of the carrier's footsteps changes, and you can hear the hollow echo of the wooden planks beneath you. These bridges were famous, almost mythical. They were the only point of entry and exit to the pleasure quarter. To cross the bridge into the district was to leave the real world behind. For the men who came here, it was a temporary escape. For the women who were brought here, it was a 1-way journey. The bridge was often called Tikaboshi, or drum bridge. But for the women, it might as well have been called the bridge of no return. It was a symbolic, and very real, Rubicon. Once you crossed it, your old life was gone forever. The palanquin reaches the other side, and the sound of the wooden planks gives way once more to the sound of the street. You are inside now. You have crossed the border. The air is thick with the scent of cheap incense, hair oil, and 1,000 blooming flowers that are not real. The palanquin is set down with a final, jarring thud. The door is unbolted, and you are forced to step out into a world of overwhelming sensory input. It's late afternoon, and the district is stirring to life, preparing for the night's business. The street is a riot of color and sound, a stark, violent contrast to the monochrome serenity of your former home. Red lanterns, not yet lit, hang from the eaves of every building. Gaudy banners with bold calligraphy advertise the services within. The buildings themselves are different, too. Wooden structures with intricate lattice minus work covering their fronts, designed both to conceal and to entice. You are standing before the great gate, the O-moan, the formal entrance to the district you just passed through. From the inside, it looks even more imposing. It's a massive wooden structure, its timbers dark with age, manned by stern faced guards. It serves a dual purpose. It keeps unwanted visitors out, but more importantly, it keeps the district's residents in. It is, in essence, the gate to a beautifully decorated, open-air prison. No woman bound by a contract could pass through that gate without permission, which was almost never granted. The thought of escape is a fantasy that dies the moment you see the guards' impassive faces and the sheer thickness of the gate's wooden beams. The people on the street are a chaotic mix. There are merchants hawking cheap souvenirs, food vendors selling steaming skewers, and errand boys darting through the crowd. You see men in the dark, sober kimonos of samurai, their faces often partially hidden, trying to maintain a shred of anonymity. You see wealthy merchants in flashy silks, laughing loudly with their companions. And you see the women. They are everywhere. Young apprentices, their faces painted a stark white, their kimonos a riot of color, tattered on high wooden sandals, chaperoned by older minders, established courtesans, their expressions bored and professional. Watch the street from behind the lattices of the second-story windows. Your guards from the magistrate's office push you forward, clearing a path through the throng. People turn to look at you. They see your plain cotton kimono, your bare feet in straw sandals, your unadorned hair. They see the guards, and they understand immediately what you are. You are new. You are fresh stock. You feel their eyes on you, a mixture of pity, curiosity, and cold appraisal. It is a gaze you have never experienced before. The look one gives to an object, a commodity about to be put on the market. It's a strange and little minus known fact that these pleasure districts were some of the most meticulously documented and regulated places in the city. The government, while profiting from them, was also deeply suspicious of the social chaos they could create. Everything was recorded. The names of the brothels, the contracts of the women, even the comings and goings of prominent clients. It was a world of illusion built on a foundation of ruthless bookkeeping. This is why your arrival is a formal, official process. You are not just being dropped off. You are being checked in. The guards lead you to a specific building, one larger and more imposing than the others. It is a brothel, but one of the highest class, a place that caters to the wealthiest clients. The entrance is polished to a high gleam, and the scent of expensive incense wafts out to meet you. A man is waiting at the door. He is not dressed like a samurai or a merchant. He wears a dark, tasteful kimono, and his hands are tucked into his sleeves. His face is unlined, his smile welcoming, but his eyes are as hard and calculating as an abacus. This is the brothel master, the Zajan, the man who will soon be your legal owner. He bows to the guards, a gesture of respect to the authority of the state. Then he looks at you. His eyes scan you from head to toe, not with lust, but with the dispassionate gaze of a horse trader inspecting a new mare. He is calculating your value, your potential, and a long, profitable road of your servitude. The great gate looms behind you, a dark silhouette against the setting sun. You have arrived. The brothel master's smile does not reach his eyes. His gaze is like that of a skilled carpenter examining a piece of wood, assessing its grain, its potential, its flaws. He says nothing to you. Instead, he exchanges a few quiet, formal words with the head guard, then turns and glides back into the entrance hall of the building, a silent invitation for you all to follow. You step across the threshold, and the chaotic noise of the street is instantly muted. The interior is surprisingly serene and impeccably clean. The floors are dark, polished wood, and the air is cool and fragrant with the same expensive incense you smelled outside. A single, magnificent flower arrangement sits in an alcove. A stout, dramatic spray of white lilies that seems to suck all the light from the room. This is not a place of sordid, drunken fumbling. It is a high-end establishment, a theater of desire, and everything is meticulously stage-managed. Starting with this intimidating light elegant entrance, the master leads the guards to a small, raised reception area. He kneels behind a low lacquer desk, and the guards kneel opposite him. You are left standing on the polished floor. A few feet away, an awkward, silent piece of luggage accompanying its own delivery. The head guard formally presents the scroll from the magistrate's office. Your transfer document. The master takes it, his movements unhurried. He unrolls it with a soft crackle of paper. His eyes scan the document, his expression unreadable. He is not reading a story of heartbreak and family ruin. He is reading the terms and conditions of an acquisition. He is checking the details. Your age, your former family status, the nature of the sentence. He is ensuring the merchandise is as advertised. This is the cold, legal reality of your situation. You are now officially classified as an Enki minus Mono, a person under a term minus contract of servitude. Historians still debate the precise line between this and what we would call slavery. Legally, it was different. The contract had a term, usually 10 years. In theory, once the term was served or the debt was paid, you were free. In practice, the debt was almost impossible to repay. The brothel master would add the costs of your food, your clothing, your makeup, your medical care, and your training to your initial price, with exorbitant interest. It was a system of debt bondage designed to be inescapable. The master nods, seemingly satisfied with the paperwork. He produces his own set of tools from a drawer in the desk. A small porcelain water dropper, an inkstone, a brush, and a personal seal carved from ivory. He prepares the ink with a few drops of water, grinding the ink stick with a slow, circular motion. The soft, grating sound is hypnotic, a mundane noise that underscores the surreal horror of the moment. He takes his brush, makes a few notations on the document, and then picks up his seal. He presses it into a small pot of red paste and then, with a firm, final gesture, stamps it onto the paper. The dull thud of the seal echoes the sound you heard in the magistrate's office. It is the second and final signature on your life. The transfer is complete. The master slides the document back to the guard. The guard reviews the seal, bows deeply, and then he and his partner stand to leave. They do not look at you. Their job is done. They have delivered the package. As they slide open the front screen to depart, a sliver of the noisy, vibrant street world intrudes for a moment before the screen is closed again, plunging the whole back into its perfumed, predatory silence. Then no, you are alone with him. He remains kneeling behind the desk for a long moment, regarding you. The welcoming smile is gone, replaced by an expression of placid ownership. He is no longer performing for the benefit of the officials. He speaks, his voice soft but carrying an unmistakable weight of absolute authority. He observes that you are the daughter of a samurai, dishonored, sent here to learn a new kind of honor. He tells you that the first lesson is that you have no name yet, but that they will give you one. But first, he says, they must wash away the old you. He gestures to a stern, minus-looking older woman who has appeared silently from a corridor behind you. He tells her to take you, to burn the clothes, and that you begin now. The older woman's hand on your arm is not cruel, but it is as firm and impersonal as a wooden clamp. She is your new keeper, a veteran of this world whose own story is likely buried under decades of service and silence. She pulls you gently but inexorably away from the grand entrance hall, leading you deeper into the labyrinthine heart of the house. You move through a maze of polished wooden corridors, and like your father's home, where silence and order reign, this house is alive with sound. From behind closed paper screens, you hear the bright, percussive notes of a shamisen being practiced. The sound of a woman's high minor-pitched, practiced laugh, the deeper murmur of a male voice. You catch glimpses through parted screens of rooms filled with ornate kimonos hanging like silent, beautiful ghosts. This is a factory of dreams, a meticulously run enterprise, and you are its newest, rawest material. Your guide leads you to the back of the house, to the bathing area. The room is filled with steam, the air thick with the scent of damp wood and hot water. It is a large, communal space, but empty for now. The woman gestures to your plain cotton kimono, the last garment connecting you to the outside world. You hesitate for a moment, a final, futile flicker of modesty. Her gaze is unwavering, and you understand. You untie the simple sash and let the robe fall to the floor. The woman inspects you, her eyes missing nothing. She is not looking at you as a man would, Her gaze is practical, cynical. She is checking for blemishes, for scars, for anything that might detract from your value. Then, she directs you to a low wooden stool and hands you a bucket of scaldingly hot water. The process begins. It is not a gentle bath. It is a scouring. She uses a rough cloth bag filled with rice bran, Ukiyo, and scrubs your skin until it is red and dry. She is not just cleaning you. She is erasing you. She scrubs away the faint, lingering scent of the gardenias from your father's garden. She scrubs away the memory of the sun on your skin from your walks to the temple. She is removing every trace of your old identity, preparing a blank canvas upon which the house will paint its own creation. Historians still debate the true purpose of this initial, almost ritualistic cleansing. Was it simply a matter of hygiene, ensuring the new product was clean and presentable? Or was it a deliberate and crucial step in the psychological breaking-in process, a physical manifestation of the stripping away of the self, the first and most intimate act of submission? As the abrasive bran scours your skin, you have no doubt about the answer. After your body, she turns to your hair. It is washed with a strong Midas-smelling soap and then rinsed with camellia oil, leaving it glossy but also smelling not of you, but of the house. You are being given the establishment's signature scent, a uniform for the nose. When she is finished, your skin hums, tender and alive. You feel utterly exposed. A newborn creature with no protection. She hands you a new garment. It is not silk. It is a simple, unlined cotton robe, a yokota, dyed a plain, anonymous indigo. This is the uniform of an apprentice, the lowest of the low in the rigid hierarchy of the house. In this world, a woman's rank was visible at a glance, encoded in the color of her robe, the style of her sash, the ornaments in her hair. The most celebrated courtesans were like empresses, draped in layers of silk worth a fortune. You, in your simple cotton robe, are not even a lady Midas in Midas waiting. You are a scullery maid in the court of pleasure. She leads you to a small, bare room. It contains nothing but a thin sleeping pallet on the tatami floor. This will be your cell. She points to the yokata, then to you. It is your new skin. She leaves, sliding the screen shut. And for the first time since you left your home, you are truly alone. You look down at the rough cotton. You touch your own arm. The skin still tingling from the scrubbing. You are clean. You are empty. The girl who loved poetry and the scent of gardenias is gone, scrubbed away in a cloud of steam and dry bran. A new person is being born in her place, a person whose name you do not yet know, and whose purpose you are only just beginning to comprehend. You don't know how long you sit in the small, empty room. Time in this house seems to follow a different rhythm, marked not by the sun, but by the comings and goings of clients, the lighting and extinguishing of lanterns. Eventually, the screen slides open again. It is the same stern woman. She gestures for you to follow, and the next phase of your transformation begins. She leads you to a different kind of room. This one is smaller, and its walls are lined with dozens of small drawers, mirrors of polished bronze, their surfaces slightly distorting, or propped on low stands. The air is thick with a strange, powdery, chemical scent. This is a dressing room, a backstage area for the theater of the night. Another young woman is already there, kneeling before a mirror. She is slightly older than you, and her movements are practiced and precise as she applies a thick white paste to her face. She doesn't look at you. In this world, a new arrival is not a friend. She is competition. Your keeper sets a small, red lacquered bowl in front of you. Inside is a white, viscous substance. This is Oshiro-ai, the iconic white foundation that will become your mask. It is made from a base of rice powder, but the primary whitening agent is lead. This is a small, toxic detail that underscores the brutal reality of this world. The pursuit of a perfect, dull-white beauty was a slow, cumulative act of self-poisoning. Many courtesans suffered from chronic lead poisoning, their skin ruined, their health destroyed by the very substance meant to make them beautiful. Historians digging through old records sometimes find mentions of persistent sicknesses, of women fading young. And it is in these quiet footnotes that the true cost of the white mask is recorded. The woman begins your first lesson. Her instructions are curt, precise. She shows you how to mix the paste with water to the perfect consistency. Then, she takes a flat brush and begins to apply it to your face and neck. The paste is cool, heavy, and smells faintly metallic. As she covers your skin, you watch your own face disappear in the bronze mirror. Your freckles, the faint scar on your chin from a childhood fall, the natural flush of your cheeks, all of it vanishes under a uniform, opaque layer of white. The application is an art in itself. She shows you how to leave a small, unpainted border of natural skin around your hairline, a subtle, tantalizing hint that there is a real person beneath the mask. On your neck, she paints 2, or sometimes 3, elegant, unpainted V- shapes, known as ERI- as high. These bare strips of skin on the nape of the neck were considered one of the most alluring parts of a woman's body in your culture, and leaving them exposed was a deliberate, calculated act of seduction. After the white foundation, she moves to your eyes. Using a tiny brush dipped in charcoal ink, she lines your eyes, extending the corners to make them seem larger, more dramatic. Then comes the red. A touch of crimson, made from crushed safflower petals, is applied to the outer corners of your eyes and faintly on your cheeks. The final touch is the lips. She paints under your lower lip a small, perfect crimson pout, a star meant to signify that you are still an apprentice, not yet a full-fledged courtesan. When she is finished, you stare at the reflection in the mirror. The face looking back at you is a stranger. It is a perfect, inanimate object, idol, a mask. It is beautiful, but it is not you. This is the point. The mask is not just to make you beautiful, it is to make you anonymous. It allows the clients to project their own fantasies onto you. You are not a person with a history and feelings. You are a canvas for their desires. It is also a form of armor. By hiding your true face, you can perhaps protect a small, secret part of yourself from the world that is about to consume you. You will perform your duties from behind this beautiful, toxic shield. The lesson is over. You now have the face of the house. The face in the mirror is a beautiful, silent lie. You touch your own cheek, but the finger that presses against the thick, cruel paste feels like it belongs to someone else. Before you can falter deeply into this sense of dissociation, the stern woman returns. She assesses your new face with a critical, professional eye, gives a single, curt nod of approval, and gestures for you to follow her once more. You are led out of the small, private world of the dressing room and into the main artery of the house. It is a large, tatami-matted hall, buzzing with a quiet, focused energy. The sun is setting, and the entire establishment is preparing for the night. Here, you see them, the other women of the house, and in a single, overwhelming moment, you understand that you have not just entered a new building. You have entered a new and brutally rigid society, complete with its own royalty, nobility, and peasantry. At the far end of the hall, seated on silk cushions like a queen holding court, is a woman of breathtaking magnificence. She is the house's reigning star, the Hoiran. Her kimono is a masterpiece, layer upon layer of heavy, embroidered silk that pools around her like a fallen cloud. Her hairstyle is an elaborate sculpture, adorned with a forest of lacquered combs, ornate hairpins, and dangling floral ornaments. Her face is the same white mask you now wear, but hers is a canvas of supreme artistry. She moves with a slow, deliberate grace, every flutter of her fan, every turn of her head, a perfectly calibrated performance. Serving her, kneeling at her feet, are 2 young girls, even younger than you, dressed in matching vibrant robes. They are her personal attendants, her kayamuru. They are learning the trade by serving its master. This Oiran is the pinnacle of this world. She does not wait for clients in a latticed cage. She chooses her patrons, and they must pay a fortune for the privilege of her company, which involves not just intimacy, but elaborate tea ceremonies, poetry composition, and witty conversation. She is a celebrity, an artist, a businesswoman, and the house's most valuable asset. Slightly further down the invisible social ladder are the koshi, or lettuce-minded women. There are several of them in the room. Their kimonos beautiful but not as overwhelmingly opulent as the Oirans. They are the beautiful, skilled workers who will later sit on display in the latticed parlors of the ground floor, waiting to be chosen by clients. They are the backbone of the house's income. And then there are the apprentices, the shinzo. Like you are at the very bottom. You are not yet a product to be sold, but a resource to be trained, an investment to be molded. You are expected to serve the higher minus ranked women, run errands, clean, and, most importantly, watch and learn. This rigid hierarchy is the engine that runs the entire district. Historians still debate its nature. Was it a system of oppression that pitted women against each other in a desperate climb for favor and status? Or was it a strange, warped kind of sorority? A necessary structure for survival that provided a clear path for advancement in a world with no other options. Looking at the cold, appraising glances the other women give you, the new arrival, you suspect the former is much closer to the truth. The Oiran rises, and the entire room seems to hold its breath. She is preparing for her procession. The Oiran minus. This is a piece of magnificent theater. To meet a wealthy and important client, she will not simply walk to his room. She will parade through the main street of the district, accompanied by her attendants and musicians, a spectacle for the entire community to witness. It is an advertisement, a confirmation of her status, and a show of the house's prestige. She slips her feet into enormous, black minus lacquered platform sandals, so high that she needs the support of a male attendant to even stand. And then she begins to walk. It is a strange, stylized, gliding motion, a slow minus motion, figure minus 8 pattern with her feet. It's a specialized walk that takes years to master, designed to make her heavy robes sway in a particular, mesmerizing way. It is beautiful, and it is also the walk of a captive. She cannot run, she can barely move. She is a magnificent, priceless treasure being put on display, her every step a testament to her beautiful, inescapable bondage. As she passes you, the stern woman who is your keeper gives you a sharp nod. She hisses that the Oiran has forgotten her fan and that you must fetch it. It is your first official duty. You scurry to the silk cushion where the Oiran was sitting, pick up the delicate, painted fern, and hurry after the slow minus moving procession. You approach her, your head bowed low, and offer the fan. She takes it from you without a word, without a glance. You do not even register in her world. You are just a pair of hands, a nameless apprentice in a plain indigo robe, a new cog in the great, glittering, grinding machine of the floating world. Your days fall into a new, relentless rhythm, a routine far more demanding than the one you left behind. You rise before dawn, not to the gentle scent of gardenias, but to the sharp clang of a bell. Your first tasks are menial. You sweep the polished floors. You clean the charcoal braziers. You help the kitchen staff prepare the morning meal. You are a servant, not just to the master, but to all the women of higher rank. You fetch their tea. You tidy their rooms. You carry messages. The nightingale floors of your father's house have been replaced by a constant, scurrying silence. The rustle of your cotton robe against the tatami. During these long hours of servitude, you are almost invisible, a ghost in the background of other people's lives. This invisibility, however, comes with a strange advantage. You are able to observe. You watch the other women. You see the subtle politics of the house, the alliances and rivalries that simmer just beneath the serene, beautiful surface. You see a higher minus ranked courtesan accidentally spill tea on a rival's expensive kimono. You see two apprentices sharing a secret, stolen sweet in a quiet corner. You learn that survival in this place is not just about beauty and talent. It is about intelligence, cunning, and a deep understanding of human nature. One afternoon, the master summons you to his office. This is the first time you have been in his presence since your arrival. He is examining an account book, his abacus clicking softly. Without looking up, he says you cannot remain nameless, that it is bad for business, and that from now on, you will be called Kicho. Kicho, it means precious butterfly. It is a Genji minus no, a professional name, beautiful, poetic, and completely detached from reality. It is not a name given to you by a loving parent. It is a brand name, a label chosen by your owner to make you more appealing to customers. This was standard practice. All the women in the district used these poetic, often nature minus inspired names. Morning dew, little pine, autumn moon. It was another layer of the beautiful illusion, severing the final tie to their past-losing families. A customer would pay for a night with precious butterfly, not with the dishonored daughter of a disgraced samurai family. Historians often discuss the psychological impact of this forced renaming. Was it a final, crushing act of dehumanization? Or for some women, did it offer a strange kind of freedom? By becoming Kicho, were you able to build a wall between your public persona and your private self, allowing the woman who performed in the tea rooms to be separate from the girl who still remembered the scent of her father's garden? Perhaps it was both. A two-love oppression that could, with enough willpower, be reshaped into a shield of survival. He continues, still focused on his ledger, observing that you have the hands of a lady, and that this is good, something they can sell, but you have no skills they can market, and that will change. He finally looks up, his gaze direct and appraising. He informs you that you will begin your lessons tomorrow in music, dance, and conversation. You will learn the arts that a man is willing to pay for. He warns you not to disappoint him, because his investment in you was not insignificant. He says the word investment with a cold, clear finality. He is referring to the sum of money he likely had to pay to the magistrate's court, a fine that was effectively your purchase price. You are a line item in his account book, an asset from which he expects a significant return. Your body, your time, your newly acquired skills, they all belong to him until that debt is repaid. A debt that you know, instinctively, is designed to grow ever larger, like a shadow that lengthens as you run from. He dismisses you with a wave of his hand. You back out of the room, bowing deeply. As you walk down the corridor, you whisper the new name to yourself, Kicho. It feels foreign on your tongue, a word that has no connection to you, but it is your name now. It is the first piece of your new, carefully constructed identity. You are no longer the girl who made a mistake. You are Kicho, the precious butterfly, and you are about to be taught how to fly in a cage. The next morning, you are excused from your usual sweeping, uncleaning duties. Instead, the stern woman leads you to a small, secluded room at the back of the house. The paper on the screens here is thicker, designed to muffle sound. Inside, an elderly woman kneels, waiting for you. She has a face like a dried persimmon, full of wrinkles and a kind of tough, resilient sweetness. Before her rests a long minus neck, 3 minus stringed instrument, the shamisen. This is your new teacher, and that is your new tool. She does not waste time with pleasantries. She pats the tatami mat beside her, a silent command for you to kneel. Then, she gestures to the instrument. This will be your voice, she says, her own voice raspy with age. A woman's real voice is often inconvenient. This one is always beautiful, if you learn to command it. She shows you how to hold it. The long, slender neck rests in the crook of your arm, the square, drum-minus-like body on your lap. It feels heavy, awkward, profoundly alien. Your body, trained in the subtle, balanced postures of the tea ceremony, must now contort itself around this strange wooden object. She hands you a large plectrum, a bocce shaped like a ginkgo leaf. It feels clumsy and oversized in your hand, which is used to the delicate, weightless feel of a calligraphy brush. Your first lesson is not in music, it is in maintenance. She shows you how to tighten the pegs, how to dust the body, how to treat the instrument with a respect that borders on reverence. As you run your hand over the white, taut skin covering the body of the shamisen, you notice its unique texture. It is not paper. It is not silk. You ask what this is made of, your curiosity momentarily overriding your fear. The old woman looks at you, a flicker of something, pity, irony, in her ancient eyes. She says simply that it is cat, or sometimes dog. The skin must be stretched very thin, without a single flaw, to produce the right sound. The information lands with a quiet, sickening thud. This beautiful instrument, capable of such soulful, melancholy music, is a beautiful cage of wooden string built around the skin of a dead animal. You look down at your own skin, and for a moment, the metaphor is so sharp, so precise, it takes your breath away. Then, the true lesson begins. She shows you how to strike the strings with the bocce. The sound you produce is a jarring, ugly one, a strangled cry that makes you flint. She corrects you, saying no, it is not a strike but a release. The sound is not what you put in. It is what the string gives back. You try again, and again, and again. For an hour, you do nothing but learn how to produce a single, clean note. The tips of your fingers on your left hand, soft from a life of silken paper, begin to ache as you press them against the fretless neck. There are no guides here, no frets to tell you where the notes are. You must learn the position of every single note by feel, by muscle memory, a geography of sound mapped onto your own flesh. Your fingers, which once created beauty with the silent flow of ink, are now being bludgeoned and calloused into creating a different kind of beauty, one that can be sold by the hour. Historians and musicologists continue to discuss the role of artistic training in these houses. Was it a genuine attempt to create cultured, sophisticated companions for the elite? A recognition that a client's desire was for more than just a physical transaction? Or was it a more cynical, calculated business strategy by teaching you music, dance, and poetry? The house could justify a higher price, keep clients entertained for longer, and create a product that was more durable and versatile than mere physical beauty, which inevitably fades. As your fingers throb and the old woman corrects your posture for the 10th time, you suspect the answer is far closer to the latter. You are not becoming an artist. You are becoming a more valuable product. Again, she says, her voice relentless. You strike the string. Another sound note. She commands again. You adjust your finger, ever so slightly. Again, a clean note. Finally, it hangs in the air for a moment, pure and lonely. It is the first beautiful sound you have made in this house. But it brings you no joy. It is the sound of your own voice being replaced. The sound of your successful indoctrination. It is the music of your submission. And you will practice it until your fingers bleed. The shames and lessons become the central pillar of your new existence. Your days are no longer defined by the sun or the seasons, but by the relentless metronome of practice. Your fingertips, once soft, are now permanently calloused. The skin thickened into a protective armor against the strings. The old woman is a demanding teacher, but in her harshness, there is a strange kind of fairness. She does not care about your past or your feelings. She only cares about the clarity of your notes. In a world of lies and delusions, the shamisen is brutally honest. A note is either pure, or it is not. One evening, after a particularly grueling session, the brothel master summons you again. This time, he is not alone. A man sits with him, a man whose clothes are plain but whose hands are stained with ink. He is the house's accountant. The master gestures for you to sit, and then he pushes a ledger across the tatami towards you. He says it is time you understood the economics of your situation. Kicho, his voice taking on the patient tone of a teacher explaining a difficult but essential lesson. He tells you that your education is not free. He opens the ledger. On the first page, there is a single, large sum written in bold, black ink. It is listed as your me minus Ukiyo minus skin, your body price. This is the amount the master paid to the court, the initial debt that you now carry. The number is staggeringly large, more money than you have ever conceived of. It is the price of a small farm, perhaps, or a merchant ship. It is the price of a human life, commodified and entered into a book. The accountant then begins to speak, his voice a dry, emotionals is drone. He points to the lines of text below the main sum. There is a charge for your transfer from the magistrate, a charge for the plain cotton robes you now wear, a charge for the bedding in your small room, a charge for the food you have eaten since your arrival, a charge for the soap, the rice bran, the camellia oil used to wash you. He is reading you an itemized bill for your own existence. Then he turns the page. Here, the future expenses are projected, the cost of your shames and lessons, the cost of the instrument itself, the cost of the more elaborate kimonos you will eventually wear, the cost of the expensive makeup, the hairpins, the ornaments. Each item is assigned a monetary value, and each value is added to your total debt. This practice, known as the ZIS high-Hiki system, was the financial engine of the pleasure quarters. It was a masterpiece of predatory accounting. Everything a woman consumed or used was charged against her earnings at inflated prices. This ensured that no matter how much she earned from clients, her debt would continue to grow, or at best, shrink at an agonizingly slow pace. It was a treadmill of debt designed to keep a woman bound to the house for her entire productive life. Historians looking at surviving account books from these establishments are often shocked by the meticulous, almost obsessive detail of the bookkeeping, a testament to the cold, rational, and utterly ruthless business practices that underpin the world of poetic names and beautiful silks. The master explains that when you begin to entertain clients, a portion of your earnings will go towards repaying this debt. The house, of course, takes its share first, for providing you with this opportunity. He smiles, a thin, humorless expression. He explains that the rest is yours to manage, and that a clever girl can become free while a foolish one will die in this house. It is a lie, and you both know it. The system is designed to be unbeatable. The numbers on the page are not a path to freedom. They are the bars of your cage, forged from ink and paper. The hope he is offering is the most cruel part of the trap. By giving you the illusion of a way out, he ensures your compliance. You will work harder. You will be more obedient. You will strive to please clients. All in the desperate pursuit of a finish line that is constantly, silently being moved further away. You stare at the numbers. They swim before your eyes, a column of black ink that represents the totality of your ruin. Your father's punishment was not a brothel. His punishment was this book. He sentenced you not to a life of shame, but to a life of unpayable debt. It is a far more modern, and far more inescapable, form of bondage. You have been sold, and now you have just been shown the receipt. The weight of the ledger settles into your bones. The cold, permanent heaviness, the knowledge that every bowl of rice you eat, every lesson you take, sinks you deeper into an economic abyss as a form of psychological torture that is constant and relentless. You practice the shamesen with a new, desperate focus. Each pure note feels like a tiny, insignificant coin you are chipping away from an impossible mountain of debt. Your life continues in its strict routine. Medial chores in the morning, lessons in the afternoon, servitude in the evening. You are now assigned to assist one of an established courtesan named Domigawa, whose name means Plum River. She's not the Tapareran, but she is a high-minus ranking, successful woman with a steady clientele. She is beautiful, in her late 20s, and has an air of profound, almost melancholic weariness about her. She treats you with the same professional indifference as everyone else, asking you to fetch her things, to help with her elaborate hair, to prepare her pipe for a smoke. One night, you are helping Amagoa dress for a client. It is a complex, almost ritualistic process involving layers of robes, sashes, and the magnificent outer kimono. Your hands are clumsy as you try to tie a particularly intricate knot on her obi, the wide sash. You fumble the silk cord, and the half-finished knot collapses. Amagoa mutters that you are useless and that she will show you. She turns, her back to the mirror, and deftly, with a few practiced movements, ties the cord herself. Her annoyance is palpable, and you flinch, expecting a harsher word, perhaps even a slap. It was not uncommon for senior courtesans to discipline their apprentices physically. But then, something shifts. As you stand there, head bowed, waiting for the blow, you see her reflection in the bronze mirror. Her eyes meet yours in the distorted, polished surface. The anger in her face softens, replaced by something else, something you haven't seen in this house, a flicker of recognition, of shared experience. She says quietly that your hands are a musician's hands now, not a lady's maid's. Careless, she doesn't say it as a criticism. It is a simple statement of fact. She sees the price you have paid in your own skin to learn your new trade. Later that evening, after her client has departed, she calls you to her room. She is sitting by a small lamp, the outer layers of her magnificent costume removed, revealing a simpler robe beneath. She looks smaller, more human without her armor of silk. She gestures to a small lacquer box. She says her first teacher told her that the shamisen can hold a memory, that if you play a song enough times, the one the cat minus skin remembered for you. She opens the box. Inside, nestled on a piece of velvet, is not a hairpin or a jewel, but a small, sticky rice cake filled with sweet bean paste, a simple, cheap confection you could buy from any street vendor. She tells you to eat it, quickly, before anyone sees. You take the cake. It is a taste of the outside world, a taste of a life you had almost forgotten. The sweetness is so intense, so unexpected, it brings tears to your eyes. It is a ridiculously small gesture, a piece of candy, that in a world where every grain of rice is logged in a debt book, this free, unrecorded act of giving is a profound rebellion. It is a secret, a connection, a moment of shared humanity in a place designed to extinguish it. Historians and sociologists often look for evidence of these informal networks of support among the women of the pleasure quarters. Did they form friendships? Did they help each other? Or was the brutal competition of the system too powerful to allow for genuine solidarity? The official records, the account books, the legal documents show only transactions and hierarchies. But it is in small, unrecorded moments like this, moments of shared food, of a quiet word of advice, of a knowing look in a mirror, that the true, hidden history of this world exists. These were not grand acts of defiance, but tiny, flickering candles of kindness lit in a vast and overwhelming darkness. You finish the cake into bites, and the taste of it lingers on your tongue. Amagoa says nothing more. She simply turns back to her lamp, a silent dismissal. You slip out of her room, your heart pounding with the thrill of the tiny, sweet, and incredibly dangerous secret you now share. The seasons turn. The plum blossoms of spring give way to the relentless cicada minus song of summer, and then to the crisp, clear air of autumn. Your skills have grown. The calluses on your fingers are now old friends. The notes from your shamisen are no longer the strangled cries of a novice, but a fluid, expressive voice that you can command. You have learned the dances, the slow, gliding movements of the long sleeved kimono. You have learned the art of conversation, how to flatter, how to tease, how to listen with a rapt attention that makes a man feel like he is the only person in the world. You have been molded. The product is almost ready. The day comes when the master deems you prepared for the next step. It is a terrifying and pivotal moment in your career. Your first public appearance in the Harimis, the shop minus front display. That evening, Your preparation is different. The stern woman who has been your keeper supervises your makeup and dressing with an even more critical eye. Your apprentice robe is replaced with a more colorful, though not yet extravagant, silk kimono. For the first time, a simple, elegant hairpin is placed in your hair. You are no longer just a servant minus rating. You are now officially on the market. You are led downstairs. Not to the private rooms or the practice halls, but to the very front of the house, to a large room that faces the main street. The front wall of this room is not solid. It is a long, wide cage of vertical wooden bars. Amuse Dana. This is the famous lattice, the iconic architectural feature of the pleasure quarters. From the street, a man could look in and see the women on display, like beautiful, exotic birds in an aviary. You are made to kneel on a red cushion in the front row, alongside several other new girls from your house and neighboring ones. The room is brightly lit with paper lanterns, illuminating you for the spectators outside. You are arranged in a carefully composed tableau, your heads bowed slightly, your hands folded in your laps. You are forbidden to speak, forbidden to make eye contact. You are a living work of art, a silent advertisement. The street outside is a river of humanity. Men of all classes stroll by, their faces illuminated by the lanterns they carry. They are the customers, the patrons, the consumers. They stop before the lattice, their faces close to the bars. They stare, they comment, they assess. Their voices are a no, indistinct murmur, but you can feel their gaze as a physical pressure. They point. You hear their muffled words as they discuss your features with their friends, commenting that one has a good profile, or is too thin, or to look at the nape of another's neck. You are being evaluated like livestock at a market. This practice of the lattice display is one of the most debated aspects of the floating world. For some contemporary Western visitors, it was a shocking and barbaric custom, a blatant display of human trafficking. For the operators of the district, it was a practical and efficient marketing tool. But what was it for the women? Historians argue about its psychological effect. Was it the ultimate act of humiliation, a nightly ritual of objectification, or did the rigid formality of it, the silence, the mask of makeup, provide a strange kind of detachment, allowing a woman to mentally remove herself from the transaction, to become the doll she was dressed as? You kneel, your back ramrod straight, your eyes fixed on a single, an interesting spot on the tatami mat before you. You try to retreat into your mind, to the memory of the scent of gardenias, but the image is faint now, almost completely faded. You try to focus on a song you learned on the shamisen, but the notes get jumbled by the murmuring from the street, so you focus on your breathing. Dim. A slow, steady rhythm. You turn yourself not into a doll, but into a statue. You are stone. You are wood. You are a thing that cannot be touched by the eyes, by the words. It is your only defense. Those pearls. The muscles in your back and legs scream in protest. The air grows cool. One by one, some of the other girls are chosen, summoned by a minded-to-meet a client who has made his selection. You remain, and you wait, silent and still, in your beautiful, brightly lit cage. Night after night, you kneel in the latticed cage. The initial terror has subsided, replaced by a dull, aching monotony. The faces of the men who peer through the bars have begun to blur into one another, a sea of anonymous, assessing noise. You have perfected the art of being present in body, but absent in mind. You have become a part of the scenery, a beautiful, inanimate object in the nightly theatre of the floating world. One evening, as you are kneeling in your designated spot, your gaze drifts, as it often does, to the river of people flowing past on the street. Your eyes are unfocused, taking in the general movement and the bobbing of the paper lanterns. But then, a face in the crowd snags your attention, pulling you abruptly back into full, painful awareness. It is a man, about your father's age, dressed in the simple, sober kimono of a low-ranking samurai. But it is not his clothes you recognize. It is the small, crescent-shaped scar just above his left eyebrow. It is Suzuki-san, your father's steward. A man who has been with your family since before you were born. A man who used to give you small, carved wooden animals when you were a child. A man who was a quiet, constant fixture of your old life. Your heart gives a single, violent lurch. For a moment, you think you have imagined him. Though your mind, starved of any connection to your past, has conjured a ghost. But he stops. He is looking directly at the lattice. Directly at you. His eyes are wide. He recognizes you. The white makeup. The elaborate hair. The silk kimono. Your disguise is perfect for strangers, for men who are looking for a fantasy. But it cannot fool a man who has known you your entire life. He sees past the mask. He sees the girl he used to know. His face registers a series of emotions, one after the other, like clouds passing across the moon. First, disbelief, then, a dawning, horrified recognition, and finally, a deep, profound, and gut-wrenching pity. It is the look of a man seeing a beloved pet that has been horribly maimed. It is not a look of judgment. It is not a look of disgust. It is a look of pure, unadulterated sorrow. The social rules of the pleasure district were complex and often contradictory. It was a world apart, yet it was deeply intertwined with the respectable world outside. Men from all walks of life came here, and it was an open secret. However, there was a tacit understanding of discretion. A man would not acknowledge a courtesan he knew from his other life, and she would certainly not acknowledge him. To do so would be to break the fourth wall of this elaborate theater, to shatter the illusion that kept both worlds separate and functional. Historians still ponder these unwritten rules. Was this a form of hypocrisy, or a necessary social lubricant that allowed society to function despite its deep internal contradictions? Suzuki-san knows this rule. He should look away, pretend he has seen nothing, and move on, but he doesn't. He stands there, frozen, for what feels like an eternity, his face a mask of helpless anguish. He has stumbled into a truth he was never meant to see. He has seen the final, brutal outcome of his master's decision. You, for your part, remain perfectly still. You do not react. You cannot. Your training has been too thorough. Your face, beneath the lead-based paint, is a perfect, serene mask. You do not nod. You do not weep. You continue to stare at the spot on the floor, a perfect statue of obedience. But inside, a storm is raging. The sight of him, the memory of the small wooden animals he carved, the look of pity in his eyes. It has ripped a hole in the careful wall of detachment you have built around yourself. You are not Kicho, the precious butterfly. You are the dishonored daughter, and your ruin is now being witnessed by a ghost from a life you can never reclaim. Finally, he seems to break the spell. He gives a small, almost imperceptible shake of his head, as if trying to clear a terrible vision. He turns and is swallowed back into the anonymous, moving crowd. He is gone, but his gaze remains, burned into your memory. It is a terrible, unexpected gift, and as pity, he has given you back a piece of yourself. He has reminded you that you were once someone else, someone who was loved, in his own quiet way, by a steward with a scar above his eye. And that knowledge is both a comfort and an unbearable torment. The ghost of Suzuki-san's pity follows you for days. It sits with you in the silent, lattice-strewn, a constant, invisible companion. The memory of his face has punctured the dull numbness you had so carefully cultivated. The world outside the bars, which had become a meaningless blur, now feels sharp and painfully real again. You find yourself searching the crowds for his face, a foolish, masochistic habit you can't seem to break. Then, a new sound begins to permeate the walls of the district. It starts as a faint, rhythmic pulse, a low thump that you can feel in the floorboards more than you can hear. As the days go on, The sound grows louder, joined by the high, reedy melody of flutes. It is the sound of the city preparing for its great summer festival. The festival is a city-wide celebration, a religious and communal event that has nothing to do with the floating world, the pleasure district. However, experiences the festival in its own unique way. Business booms. Men, their spirits high and their pockets full of holiday money, flock to the district after a day of celebrating with their families. The house is abuzz with a frantic energy, preparing for the influx of clients. More silks are aired, more sake is ordered, more incense is burned. The district is a parasite that feeds on the city's joy, a shadow that grows darker and richer as the city's lights burn brighter. On the main night of the festival, you and the other apprentices are given a rare reprieve. You are not required to sit in the lattice. The senior courtesans are more than enough to handle the surge in demand. Instead, you are allowed a small, supervised celebration of your own. You are led up to a second-floor balcony at the back of the house, a space that overlooks the rooftops of the district and, beyond them, the sky above the city. The air on the balcony is cool and carries the faint, sweet, smoky smell of grilled deal and sugar syrup from the festival stalls you cannot see. The other girls are chattering with a rare, genuine excitement. For a moment, stripped of the rigid hierarchy of the main halls, they are just young women, eager for a spectacle. Then, it begins. A single, whistling streak of light rises into the night sky, followed by a soft, percussive thump that reaches you a second later. It explodes. Not in a cacophony of modern colors, but in a simple, elegant shower of orange sparks. The color of charcoal and gunpowder. The ancient pyrotechnicians, the Hanabi Minashi, were masters of a limited palette. A gasp of delight triples through the girls on the balcony. Another firework follows. This one a soft, silvery white burst. A pattern the poets call Jin Nezu, or silver rat, for the way the sparks scurried across the black sky. This was the pinnacle of the firework maker's art before colored chemicals became common. A simple, beautiful effect created from just the right mixture of charcoal, sulfur, and saltpeter. You watch, your hands gripping the cool wood of the balcony railing. You are watching a celebration you are not a part of. The fireworks are for the families, for the citizens of the city, for a world of belonging that is now forever close to you. Historians still debate the internal experience of the women in these moments. Did they find a genuine, communal joy in these stolen glimpses of the outside world, creating a temporary sorority on a dark balcony? Or was the spectacle a source of profound melancholy, a beautiful, painful reminder of their imprisonment? Their cheers a hollow performance to mask the bitterness of their exclusion. As a particularly magnificent firework explodes, a weeping willow of silver sparks that seems to hang in the air forever, the other girls cheer and clap. Amagawa is standing near you. She does not cheer, she simply watches. A small, sad smile on her lips. She catches your eye and gives a slight, almost imperceptible shrug. It is a gesture that says everything. It is beautiful. And it has nothing to do with us. So we watch. And we admire. And tomorrow, we go back to work. The finale is a rapid succession of dozens of fireworks, filling the sky with fleeting constellations of orange and silver. The light washes over the balcony, illuminating the faces of the women around you. For a moment, the white makeup is rendered invisible, and you see them as they are, a collection of lost, hopeful, and heartbroken girls, all staring up at a joy they can only borrow from a distance. The last spark fades, leaving a lingering smell of sulfur in the air and a deep, profound darkness where the light had been. The show is over. The sounds of the city's party will continue for hours, but your small reprieve is done. It is time to go back inside. The festival ends, and the memory of the fireworks fades like their own brief sparks, leaving the routine of the house feeling even more drab and relentless. The world settles into the long, slow rhythm of the passing years. You do not measure time in days or weeks anymore. You measure it in kimonos. The heavy, brocaded silks of winter give way to the lighter, unlined robes of summer, patterned with irises and flowing water. Autumn arrives with kimonos dyed in the deep reds and golds of maple leaves. The changing of the seasonal wardrobe is the only calendar you have. You are no longer an apprentice. You have graduated. One day, the master declared that your training was complete. You were given your first truly magnificent kimono, a gift from the house that was, of course, added to your ledger of debt. You began to entertain clients. The first time was a blur of terror and shame, a clumsy, awkward encounter with an older merchant who smelled of second clothes. You performed the role you were told. You played the shamesome. You poured the sake. You laughed at his jokes. You did what was required, and you survived. The master was pleased. You were beginning to generate a return on his investment. Over time, the tower receded, replaced by a professional detachment. You learned to separate Ukiyo, the charming and witty courtesan, from the silent girl inside who still remembered a steward with a scar. Ukiyo was a creation, a performance. She was skilled, she was beautiful, and she was very, very expensive. You became good at your job, your reputation grew. You attracted a better class of clientele, wealthy poets, high-ranking samurai, famous actors from the kabuki theater. With them, the encounters were less about a crude physical transaction and more about a sophisticated performance of romance and wit. They wanted the illusion of being with a cultured, intelligent woman who understood them, and you became a master of selling that illusion. You now have your own small retinue, to young Amuro, apprentices who serve you just as you once served Amigawa. You see the same fear and awe in their eyes that you once had. You find yourself teaching them, not just the formal arts of music and dance, but the unspoken rules of survival. You show them how to tie a difficult knot. You sip them a sweet when the master isn't looking. You find yourself becoming a veteran, a link in the chain of women teaching other women how to endure. But the years are taking their toll. It is a quiet, creeping erosion. The lead in the makeup is starting to affect your health. A persistent cough in the winter, a dull ache in your bones, the endless nights of forced joviality. Why? Of drinking sake you do not want and laughing at jokes that are not funny, have etched fine lines of weariness around your eyes that even the thickest makeup cannot hide. Historians often struggle to reconstruct the full life cycle of a courtesan. The records focus on their glorious debuts and their peak years. What happened after their beauty faded? Some, a very lucky and very small few, were bought out by wealthy patrons and became their wives or concubines. Some managed to pay off their debts and retired, perhaps to run a small tea house or become a shamisen teacher. But for most, the path led downwards. They would be moved to cheaper brothels, serving a lower class of clientele, their health failing, until they were too old or too sick to work. Their final fate is often unrecorded, a quiet, anonymous end to a life lived in the brightest of spotlights. You see it happening to Amigawa. She is still beautiful, but younger, fresher faces are now favored by the wealthiest clients. She drinks more now, and sometimes her witty conversation has a bitter, cynical edge. You see your own future in her fading light, a trajectory as predictable as the changing of the seasons. You are a flower, and this world is a hothouse that forces you into a brilliant, premature bloom, only to discard you once you begin to wilt. For now, you are still in full blossom. Your name is known in the district. You are successful. You are, by the measures of this world, a triumph. But as you look at your own reflection in the bronze mirror each night, you see the lie. The precious butterfly is pinned to a board, its beautiful wings slowly, imperceptibly, turning to dust. Years have passed. How many? You've lost count of 10, 12. The number is meaningless. You no longer think in terms of a sentence to be served or a debt to be repaid. This is simply your life. The floating world is no longer a strange, terrifying new country. It is your home, the only one you have. You have risen as high as you can. You are not the topo we're on. That position requires a rare combination of otherworldly beauty and ruthless political skill that you never quite possess, but you are a senior courtesan of great renown. You have your own private suite of rooms, filled with beautiful things. Lacquered boxes, silk screens painted with scenes from classic literature, a collection of expensive kimonos that is the envy of the entire house. These things are not truly yours. Of course, they belong to the house, loaned to you as props for the grand performance of your life, but they create a comfortable, elegant cage. Tonight is a quiet night. Your regular patron, a wealthy rice merchant from Osaka, cancels his appointment, and so, for the first time in a long while, you have an evening to yourself. You are not required to put on the full, heavy costume of your rank. You wear a simple, dark silk robe. You have dismissed your young attendants, sending them off to gossip and play games with the other apprentices. You sit by the open window of your second -4 room. The window is not barred. There is no need for bars. The walls of this district are not made of wood or stone, but of debt and social ruin. There is nowhere for you to go. The window looks out onto the main street. The same street you once looked upon from the confines of the lattice cage. The nightly parade is in full swing. The street is a river of light and sound. You watch it all with the detached, professional eye of a theater director watching a play they have seen 1,000 times. You see the groups of drunken samurai, the preening merchants, the hopeful young men spending a month's wages on a single night of illusion. You see the other women, the new apprentices in the lattice, their faces a mixture of terror and hope, just as yours once was. The established courtesans entertaining clients in the tea rooms, their laughter echoing out into the night. Then, you sit, a small, plain palanquin, the kind used for transporting cargo or criminals, stops just outside the great gate. Two grim minus-faced men, retainers from some respectable house, pull a young woman out. She is dressed in a plain, coarse kimono. Her hair is unadorned. Her face is pale with a fear so profound it seems to have frozen her features into a mask. She is you. A dozen years ago, a new girl, dishonored, sentenced, delivered to the gates of this glittering, merciless world. You watch as the brothel master emerges from the entrance below. You know his welcoming, reptilian smile. You see him bow to the retainers. You see him give the new girl the same cold, appraising look he once gave you. The entire scene unfolds before you like a recurring dream. The cycle is beginning again. What do you feel? Pity. Yes, a deep, aching pity for the girl, for the terror she is feeling, for the brutal journey she is about to begin. But there is something else, too. A strange, chilling sense of detachment. It is like watching a stone being dropped into a pond. You know the ripples it will create because you were once a ripple yourself. But you are no longer the stone. You are the pond. You are part of the vast, deep, and unchangeable water of this place. Historians and writers have long been fascinated by the concept of karma in the floating world. Was it a genuine spiritual belief, or a convenient narrative to justify the suffering and hierarchies of the system? Was a woman's fall into this world seen as a punishment for the sins of a past life? And was her success within it a sign of good karma? You don't know the answers. You only know what you see. A wheel, endlessly turning. New girls arrive, full of fear. They are trained, molded, and sold. They shine brightly for a few seasons, and then they begin to fade. They are replaced by newer, fresher faces. The house, the system, the floating world itself. It is the only thing that truly endures. You turn from the window. The reflection in the polished bronze mirror shows a woman you barely recognize. Her face is a perfect, beautiful mask of white powder and crimson paint. Her eyes are tight, but wise. She is Ukiyo, the precious butterfly, a creature of exquisite beauty designed for a short, brilliant flight. You pick up your shamisen. You place your calloused fingers on the strings. And as the new girl is led through the doors below, you begin to play a soft, melancholy tune. The same one your first teacher taught you, all those years ago. It is the only welcome this world has to offer. And so, the music plays on, a soft and loamy sound drifting from an upper window, a sound that tells a story without words. The new girl, whose name is not yet her own, hears it as she is led down the polished corridor. For her, it is just a strange and beautiful sound in a strange and terrifying new place. She does not yet know that it is the sound of her own future. And you continue to play. Your eyes close now, letting the music carry you. You are no longer in the room, no longer in the house, no longer in the floating world. You are in the notes themselves, in the space between the strings and the silence. It is a place of temporary peace, a small boat on a vast, dark river. The story of the girl who arrived tonight will be her own, with its own small kindness and its own unique cruelties. But the shape of it will be the same. The wheel will continue to turn. And here, in this quiet, resonant space, we can let the story rest. The notes of the shamisen begin to fade, becoming softer, more distant, mingling with the soft hum of the night in your own room, becoming a part of the silence that is now gathering around you, a gentle and welcoming blanket. There are no more sharp edges, no more jarring sounds, only a smooth and daisy path into rest. The final word has been whispered. If your mind is still gently stirring, you're welcome to drift into another of my stories. If not, I wish you a deep and peaceful slumber. Good night.